1. The lawyer who proved his point. So picture this. Toronto, 1993. Garth Weiss was a lawyer at one of those fancy law firms on the 24th floor. This guy had a party trick that he loved showing off to new employees and clients. He would literally run full speed at the floor-to-ceiling windows and throw his whole body against them to prove how strong they were. And look, I get it. He wanted to show the building was safe. Very reassuring for clients, right? The problem is, he'd done this so many times that he got cocky. Like when you've played the same video game level 100 times and start getting sloppy because you think you're invincible. So one day in July 1993, Garth was giving his usual tour to a group of articling students, basically lawyer interns. He's showing them around, being all impressive, and then decides to do his signature move. "Watch this," he says, and boom, runs straight at the window. The glass held up perfectly. It didn't crack, didn't shatter, didn't even get a scratch. But here's the thing nobody thought about. The frame. The window just popped out. Like when you push a phone screen protector too hard and it just slides off. The entire window, with Garth plastered against it, fell 24 stories down. The absolute irony here is that Garth was technically correct. The glass was strong. It did withstand the impact. He successfully proved his point. The window didn't break. It just decided to take him on a one-way trip to the ground floor. Express elevator, no stops. The students just stood there, staring at the empty window frame, probably thinking, so, is the tour over? Or, imagine putting that on your first day of work story. Yeah, my boss swan-dived out a window on my orientation day. Anyway, how's your job? 2. The Cola Addict's Last Sip, 1998, France. Okay, so there was this French guy. Let's call him Jean-Paul because that name sounds fancy. Jean-Paul had a serious Coca-Cola addiction. We're not talking, "Oh, I like soda." This man was drinking 7 to 8 liters every single day. That's like more than 2 of those big family-sized bottles daily. Now, as you might expect, his body wasn't thrilled about this arrangement. His heart started doing weird things, irregular rhythms, palpitations, the works. Jean-Paul finally noticed something was wrong when his chest started feeling like a drum solo at a rock concert. So he does the smart thing. He calls an ambulance. Character growth. We love to see it. The ambulance arrives and the paramedics are asking him questions. Any medical conditions? Medications? What were you doing before this happened? Well, Jean-Paul probably said, I drink a lot of Coca-Cola. How much? About 7, maybe 8 liters a day. The paramedics' faces probably looked like they'd just been told the earth is flat. Like that's not a beverage habit, that's a cry for help. But okay, they load him into the ambulance, hook him up to monitors, and start heading to the hospital. Now here's where it gets stupid. Jean-Paul had grabbed a 2-liter bottle of Coke on his way out the door. Because apparently the 15-minute ambulance ride was going to be too long without his precious brown fizzy nectar. The paramedics are like, Sir, you need to stop drinking that. Your heart is literally failing because of the Coke. Jean-Paul, but I'm thirsty. Thirsty? My guy, my dude, my brother in Christ. There is water. Water exists. It's free. The ambulance probably has water. But no, Jean-Paul kept chugging his Coke like it was the last bottle on earth. He had a massive heart attack before they even reached the hospital. The doctors tried to save him, but nope. Jean-Paul died with a Coke bottle in his hand, probably his last thought being, worth it. The tragic part, he knew Coke was the problem. He called for help. He was so close to maybe surviving and getting treatment, but the addiction was so strong that even while dying, he couldn't put the bottle down for 15 minutes. That's not a beverage preference anymore, that's a relationship. Yo, if you're enjoying these stories of natural selection in action, hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Trust me, it gets even dumber from here. 3. The Mango Tree Master Plan, 2013, India. Alright, so in a small village in India, there was this beautiful mango tree. Big, old, full of delicious mangoes. The problem? The mangoes were really high up and nobody wanted to climb because, falling from trees hurts. So these 7 villagers got together and had what they thought was a genius idea. Instead of climbing the tree like their ancestors had done for thousands of years, they just pulled the whole tree down. Simple. Efficient. What could go wrong? They got a thick rope, tied it around the trunk, and all 7 of them lined up like they were playing tug of war. They started pulling, and pulling, and pulling. The tree started making cracking sounds. Success! It's working! Now, here's where basic physics should have kicked in. You know, that thing you learn in elementary school about how trees fall in the direction they're leaning, or how gravity works, or how objects fall down. The tree gave one final crack and started falling. At this point, a reasonable person might think, I should probably move out of the way of the falling tree. But not these guys. They stood there, rope in hands, watching their plan come to fruition. The tree fell directly on top of them, like a cartoon, like a Looney Tunes episode. 7 grown adults got crushed by the tree they just pulled down. 3 of them died. 4 were seriously injured. Let's break down the logic here. They successfully identified the problem. Mangoes too high. They came up with a solution. Pull tree down. They executed the plan perfectly. The tree fell exactly as intended. They just forgot the minor detail of trees are heavy and we're standing in the fall zone. The village probably had a meeting after this, like, okay, new rule. We climb trees now. We climb them. Like normal people. Like we've always done. The worst part? The mangoes were probably fine, scattered on the ground, ready to eat. The tree gave up its fruit. Mission accomplished. It just cost 3 lives because nobody thought about step 2 of the plan. 4. The freezer. Hideout fail. 2019, USA. Let me tell you about what might be the most elaborately stupid death ever. There was this thief, let's call him Mike, who robbed a grocery store. Not a huge heist, just grabbed some cash from the register and some merchandise. Pretty standard robbery stuff. But Mike heard the cops coming, sirens in the distance. He panicked. He needed a hiding spot, and he needed it fast. He looked around the store frantically, and his eyes landed on the massive walk-in freezer in the back. You know, the industrial ones that stores use to keep frozen goods. Mike thought to himself, "This is perfect! I'll hide in here until the store closes, the cops leave, and then I'll sneak out. I'm a genius!" So he runs into the freezer and closes the door behind him. He's probably thinking he's so smart, like he's in a heist movie. Ocean's 11 ain't got nothing on him. The cops search the store, don't find him, and eventually leave. Phase 1 complete. Now Mike just has to wait. He's cold, but whatever, he'll tough it out. He's a criminal mastermind. Except, an hour passes. Then 2. Then 3. Mike starts getting really cold. Like dangerously cold. He tries to open the door. It doesn't open. He tries again. Nothing. The door is locked from the outside and there's no interior handle. Mike starts to panic. He's banging on the door, yelling, but the store is closed. Nobody's there. The freezer is running at 13 degrees, 25 degrees Celsius. Mike probably had a moment of clarity at some point during that night. A "what have I done" moment. A realization that he'd outsmarted the cops, but got outsmarted by a refrigerator. They found him the next morning when employees came to open. Frozen solid. His plan had worked perfectly. He avoided the cops, avoided the cameras, found a hiding spot nobody thought to check. He just forgot that freezers have one job, to make things cold. Really, really cold. Freeze things is literally in the name. It's not called a temporary comfortable hiding spot. It's called a freezer. Yo, if you're enjoying these stories of natural selection in action, hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Trust me, it gets even dumber from here. And if you think you've made bad decisions, just remember, at least you didn't hide in a freezer. There you have it, folks. People who prove that common sense isn't that common. If you made it this far without face-palming yourself into a concussion, you're doing better than these legends. These stories are real, they're tragic, and they're so dumb that you can't help but laugh and feel bad at the same time. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that make you feel like a genius by comparison. And please, please, just think for like 5 seconds before doing something stupid. That's all it takes. 5 seconds of "wait, should I do this?" could save your life.